What the fuck is up, everyone? Prison Miller here. I am back with the Ranking Every Album series. Today we will be ranking every Between the Buried and Me albums. As you may know, they have an upcoming album that will be released on September 12th. And because of that, we are going to go through each album by Between the Buried and Me. We'll go through their discography. As you may know, Between the Buried and Me has a very consistent discography. They originally started up as mathcore band with some death metal elements. Up until a few albums later, they started to become a lot more proggier as they progress more and more throughout the discography, and that's how it goes. So, as you may know how I do it with every ranking album series, I go through each album in order of release from their debut to their recent album that was released, review them, and give each album a score out of 5, with 0 being the worst rating and 5 being the best rating. And before we begin, we'll go for a few ground rules. With one exception in this video, I am only going to go through full-length studio albums, starting from their self-titled to Colors 2. Again, with one exception, I am not interested in EPs, demos, live albums, compilations, covers, or anything that's released outside of Between the Buried and Me, such as solos or side projects. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin. Alright, starting up, we got is their self-titled debut, released April 30th, 2002, off of Life Force Records. Now, as you may know, this is pretty much a debut album. This album kind of has this really raw production sound with some pretty poor mixing here and there. I think this is the band's only album with Will Goodyear on drums, and he did clean vocals as well, and I'm gonna be honest with you, he wasn't very good. But on some positive notes, there are still some crushing riffs throughout the album. There are some great moments throughout the album, like Fire for a Dry Mouth. What I read is it's about a former friend of theirs who later became in bad terms. It's got some great melodies too, and a few songs like Aspirations. Naked by the Computer is a really solid track. It's a lot more melodic too, but the clean vocals at the end of the track just ruined it. And the vocals are pretty off sometime with it's mainly the production and mixing that kind of ruins it for me. The majority of this album pretty much enjoys the riffs, so I don't really know what else to say here about this album. I would probably say it's their worst record to date. I mean, since it's their debut, I'm not going to go harsh on it or anything like that. So I'll go for a 2.5 out of 5. It's meh. I mean, at least they improved a lot in the future albums. So there's that. Alrighty, next up we got is The Great Circus, released October 21st, 2003, off of Victory Records. Now, this album, it's pretty much the same opinion, for the most, as the same opinion as Between the Buried and Me self-titled, but I think this album is better, mainly because it has better production. It's got some more memorable tracks, like, as we know, Lost Perfection, both A and B, Kamila Rhodes. That's a pretty funny song about a cartoon character. Mordecai is an amazing track. I do dug the song Mordecai. And, again, I really love the death metal riffs, the growl vocals. I pretty much consider this as a mixture between Suffocation and the Dillinger Escape Plan. But other than that, I pretty much think it's a solid listen. I mean, I don't think I will go back to it as much. So I'll go for a 3 to 5. I think this is a pretty decent record. It's better than their self-titled record. It's a slightly improvement, but the sound just wasn't there for me. That's pretty much how I would describe it as. Alright, next up we got is Alaska, released September 6, 2005, off of Victory Records. Now, this is the first band with its current lineup up until the departure of Blake Richardson on drums until 2025. But besides all that, we'll talk about that later. I think Alaska, starting with this album, the band pretty much found their sound. It's a lot proggier than the Silent Circus. It's more technical too. While they still have some of the mathcore elements here and there, but it's a lot proggier. Like, it starts off with a classic song, All Bodies, which I really love the track. Selkies, The Endless Obsession is another classic song. Cookies and Boat Shoes is a pretty odd, fun song to listen to. And don't get me started with Backwards Marathon. I fucking love that song. Backwards Marathon is an amazing song. This is the album where they pretty much found their sound. That's how I would describe it as. I thought this is a really great listen. If y'all are new to Between the Buried and Me, I would probably start with this record. So I'm going to go for a 4 to 5. I think this is a really great record. It's a classic by Between the Buried and Me. Definitely a really great album. One of the best albums of 2005. So I don't know what else to say here. It's not a concept album, unlike the future albums after that. But it's a lot proggier. It's a great listen. So if you haven't listened to it, you should definitely check it out. Alrighty, next up we got is Colors, released September 18, 2007, off of Victory Records. One of the most influential prog albums of all time. Prog or metalcore albums of all time. One of the best metal albums in the 2000s. If not one of the best metal albums in the 21st century. And I would pretty much argue that this is Between the Buried and Me's best album yet. If not one of the best metal albums, if not the best metal album in the 2000s, in my opinion. I just think this album is just fucking outstanding. It's got a lot of stuff going out throughout the album. Like, it's all full of breakdowns, crushing riffs, experimentation, progression throughout melodies, almost everything throughout the album. It's got a lot of elements for different genres, such as death metal, space rock, country, polka, and many more. The lyrical theme is kind of like it's a concept album. It's basically one song with multiple tracks, and each track has its own color. Like, Foamborn, both A and B is orange, Informal Gluttony is green, Son of Nothing is yellow, Ants of the Sky is red, Prequel to the Sequel is aqua, Viridian is blue, and White Walls is purple. So each track on the album has its own color, and I thought this was outstanding. I mean, it's just full of great tracks. Like, I love the song Prequel to the Sequel. Son of Nothing, it's an amazing fucking track. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I would easily argue that this is their best album. I mean, the production throughout the album is fucking outstanding, which pretty much caused it to be one of the best metal albums of all time. Not just progressive metal, not just metalcore, one of the best metal albums of all time. If not, probably the best metal album in the 21st century, in my opinion. And I think Tommy Giles' vocal improved a lot more than the last two albums, especially with the clean vocals he was doing. I mean, the last two albums he did were pretty decent at best, but this one he did a lot better with the clean vocals. Like, he was just great on both harsh and clean vocals. Like, he was just amazing at it. And I just love how it closes off the album with the track White Walls. I just love how it closes off with this piano sound. It's just like you heard one song in multiple tracks. Like, again, it's a concept album. It's just full of epicness throughout, and I just fucking love it. I mean, not a lot of people in the metalcore genre would talk about this album, especially nowadays. They mainly pay attention like metalcore bands like fucking Falling in Reverse or Bad Omens or something like that. And when they talk about the 2000s metalcore, they pretty much pay attention most of the time to like maybe Killswitch Engage and All That Remains, and not this album. But otherwise, guys, this is no debate. This is a 5 out of 5 for me. I think this is a fucking perfect record. I think this album beats Dillinger Escape Plan's Irie Works by a long shot. I know on my ranking every Dillinger Escape Plan album, this is kind of like a debate between that and Colors. No, Colors easily dethrones Irie Works by a long shot. This album is flat out perfect. If you haven't listened to this album, whether you're a prog fan or a metalcore fan, you need to listen to this album. This album is just amazing. It's just perfect from start to finish. Like, no doubt. Like, it's a huge, mind-blowing away album. Like, how perfect this is. That's pretty much how I describe it. If not, this is probably my favorite metalcore album of all time. Yes, even better than Killswitch Engage, Alive, or Just Breathing. I think this is better. Yes, even Trivium Shogun, I think this album is better. So, yeah, guys, perfect metalcore album by a long shot. Alrighty, next up we got is The Great Misdirect, released October 27th, 2009, off of Victory Records once again. Now, this album I pretty much call it Colors Light. And no, I don't mean that in a bad way. As you may know, this is album pretty much the part of the Parallax series. It's just basically a prequel to the saga with the following albums after that. I mean, Mirrors pretty much starts off as a ballad, and then we got into Obfusification. I can't pronounce it, I apologize, but a really great song. So, yeah, just like Colors, it's a concept album, and from what I'm reading on Wikipedia, there's like a backwards message in the song, Disease, Injury, and Madness, around the acoustic guitar riffs, but it's hard to hear, but a voice is heard saying, "You will sleep with the rest of the non-believers. If you disagree, you will sleep. You will sleep with the rest of the non-believers." And this album also contains their longest song to date with the closing track, Swim to the Moon, which is a pretty epic track. And yeah, I think it's a really great album. Desert of Song is a nice little, I don't know, country-ish ballad to it, I guess. I don't know, it's kind of a weird comparison. It kind of has this country feel to it. I mean, it's a 6-track album, so I don't know really what else to say here. I dug this album. I'm not going to complain. There's no filler to it, so I'll go for a 4 to 5. I think this is a really great record. Really solid album. It's not one of my favorites, but it's a really great record. Alrighty, next up we got is the Parallax Hypersweet Dialogues, released April 12, 2011, off of Metal Blade Records. Now, as you may know, guys, this is not a studio album, it is an EP. Now, when it comes to my ranking every album series, I don't review EPs, but I am making an exception for this one, because, as you may know, the Parallax, the next album, the Parallax Part 2, is a full-length studio album, and Part 1 is an EP, which is why I decided to make an exception for this one. It's pretty much a follow-up from their last album, The Great Misdirect, and from what I'm reading on Wikipedia, the concept of this EP is written from the perspective of the characters Prospect 1 and Prospect 2. Prospect 1 is a seemingly normal citizen, whereas Prospect 2 is a space pilot tasked with planting human souls of a new planet. But the first track, Specular Reflection, opens up with Prospect 1 after the events of Swim to the Moon from their last album. Prospect 1 wakes up on an island after attempting suicide by drowning. While on the island, he begins having dreams about seeing someone that looks exactly like him. Meanwhile, Prospect 2 begins having dreams about being on an island while flying towards the new planet. While on the second track, Augment of Rebirth, Prospect 2 begins to develop a god complex as he arrives at the new planet and fulfills his mission. At the same time, Prospect 1 signals a passing boat to take him back to civilization. And as for the final track, Lunar Wilderness, Prospect 1 returns home only to find it has somehow vanished without a trace, as Prospect 2 files back to his home planet, discovering it also disappeared. So, pretty odd storytelling here. It's just the same way as goes with the last two albums. It's very proggy, and I don't know really else to say. It's only 3 tracks. It's an EP, but it's a really great EP for the most part. I would say it's good. It's more good than great. So, I'm feeling a very enthusiastic 3.5 to 5 on this one. Again, it's an EP. I wouldn't say it's anything special. I mean, it's not like I would go back to it, but it's a really great listen. You may want to listen to that before listening to the Parallax 2. As you may know, it's an EP. I am making an exception for this one. So, there's that. Alright, next up we got is the Parallax 2 feature sequence. As you may know, it's the final part of the Parallax series, released October 9, 2012, off of Metal Blade Records. Now, as you may know, this is their full-length studio album, unlike Part 1. And it's got a whole lot of influences throughout the album, and it's a really step up from their EP 2. The concept of this album, from what I'm reading on Wikipedia, the Parallax 2 feature sequence starts with the end of the story, which is Goodbye to Everything, where the two prospects wait for their planet to fly into the sun and burn. Following the opening song, the album picks off right where the 2000 EP, the Parallax Hypersleep Dialogues, ended. Prospect 2 finds that his home on the old planet that has disappeared, so he starts to think about who he is in a dream, and he finds that he does not understand his purpose. As with the song Astral Body, Prospect 2 then decides to either end his own life on the ship or go back to the new planet where he planted human souls for government. He decides to go back to the new planet, and on the way there he feels remorse as he wishes he could have gone back and told his wife that he was leaving to go to a new planet. As for the song Lay Your Ghost to Rest, and then for the next song Autumn, is described as a way to set up the atmosphere for the rest of the story. Prospect 1 returns to his home from being adrift at sea, and so swim to the moon, from the Great Misdirect, to find everything gone and not what he remembers of home. He then begins to have these dreams that show him meeting someone with identical looks but a different agenda, and when he wakes from these dreams one day, he finds that a city is being built around him. He buries his head in the dirt because of how loud the construction is. Then someone pulls his head from the dirt. This person happens to be the same person he dreamed about, himself, as known as Prospect 2, to the listener from the track Extremophile Elite. Then there is a flashback in the second half of the track that details Prospect 2 landing on the new planet. Once he lands on that planet, he stumbles his way to what seems like machines building a city in the distance, and this is when he finds Prospect 1's head in the ground. But he thought it was just a dead man, so he pulls his head out of the ground to find the note that he left for his wife on the old planet under the man's skull, but finding the note turns out to be a dream. Now that the prospects have met each other, they recollect over their losses and pains and know that they must decide what to do with the new planet, which is the track Parallax. The story then cuts to the beginning of time and introduces the Night Owls, the creator of all, from the track The Black Box. Prospect 2 becomes determined to destroy the Earth, so he tries to persuade Prospect 1 to join him, and agrees only because of his fear of Prospect 2. However, Prospect 1 internally decides to start a new life and lives with his new love interest, who is never introduced in the album. Then another flashback takes place. Prospect 2's wife talks about how he has hurt her and left no note as to where he is. She then ends her own life by burning down their house, as for the track Telos. Now, the album then travels to between the Great Misdirect and the Parallax Part 1. Prospect 1 drowns. He sinks to the bottom of the ocean and is revived by a village of sea creatures. The creatures analyzes him to understand humans while he is hypnotized through their music. He is then sent back to the surface, and then the Parallax Part 1 starts with the track Bloom. A new character known as the Black Mask was hired by the government to prevent the note that was led to Prospect 2's wife from being read on the old planet. The Black Mask never puts thought and feelings into his work. However, he kept the note and starts reading it years after. Eventually, the note gets to him, and he fires to give the note to Prospect 2's wife, only to find the house burned to the ground with a woman inside. That's with the track Melting City. Now that Prospect 2 knows to destroy humanity, and he discovers that the Night Owls of Prospect 1 has betrayed him. On the ship, there is a box with instructions in it to use a gravity fracture. To tow large asteroids, he will tow a large asteroid between the Earth and Sun to pull the Earth into the Sun. Before he puts the plan into action, he finds Prospect 1, who had just finished to give his normal life, and gasses his house to kidnap him. Then the Night Owl leads to Prospect's life, departing for an unknown journey. Prospect 1 wakes up in the ship and accepts his death and the death of humanity, as with the track Silent Flight, Pariah Lament. So, as you may know, just like the previous album, it's a concept album, and I have to say, this is probably not my second, probably my third favorite album by Between the Buried and Me. It has a lot, as for the instrumentation and production, it has a lot more flavor than the EP. It's got some great melodies, hooks. It's got a lot of unpredictable transitions and stuff like that, and it's basically Between the Buried and Me being Between the Buried and Me. It's a massive step up from the previous two Parallax albums, so I thought this was an amazing record. Probably one of my favorite albums of 2012. Well, not my favorite of 2012, because that would be Cattle Decapitation's Monolith of Inhumanity, but I think this is an amazing record, a really great storytelling album with the lyrics and stuff like that, so I am feeling a 4.5 out of 5. I think this is an amazing fucking record. And some people may argue it as their best, which I can understand why. This is an amazing record, but I think Color still beats this record, nonetheless, but I absolutely fucking love this record. Alrighty, next up we got is Coma Ecliptic, released July 10, 2015, off of Metal Blade Records, once again, and this album pretty much has a change to it, as we know. This album has a lot more softer sound than their previous albums to fit the tone with the lyrics. It's mainly the story of the album. Again, just like the previous albums, it's a concept record. I mean, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it'll take the video a lot longer, but I'll give you a summary. It's the concept of Coma Ecliptic involves a man who got stuck in a coma, journeying through his past lives. It is added that the man faces a choice to either stay or move on to something better. Each song is its own episode in a similar fashion to The Twilight Zone. I did rank Between the Buried and Me years ago, and I put it as their worst. Do I think it's their worst album nowadays? No. Now, mainly because I don't really know much anything musically, but I'm not really... Back then, I wasn't really a musical expert as I was right now. Well, I wouldn't say I'm a musical expert. I mean, I never claimed I was. I'm much more than I am 5 years ago. But the album does have a lot of great moments. Like, it has a great track, the title track, Coma Ecliptic. I do like its synthesizers here and there, especially with the track Dim Ignition. I kind of like this 80 industrial sounding to it. And it's got some great melodies and hooks. Now, as you may know, this album kind of got some criticism with mainly it has more clean vocals than the harsh vocals. As you may know, the previous Between the Buried and Me, it has more harsh vocals than clean vocals. This album is pretty much the opposite. And the reason of that is, according to Thomas Giles, is to fit the tone with the album. Now, with this album, is it one of my favorites by them? No, but I kind of think it's a really solid listen, so I'm feeling a 3.5 to 5 on this album. It's got a really great moment. It still has a lot of flavor. It still has great production. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer listening to the others, so... I mean, if I were to rate this album back then, it would probably be like a 2 to 5, maybe a 2.5, but nowadays I'd give for a 3.5 to 5, because it has a lot of originality throughout. Alrighty. Next up we got is Automata 1, released March 9th, 2018, through Sumerian Records. For some reason, this is a double album released separately with 30 minutes. For some odd reason, they decided to release the Part 1 and Part 2 separately, which I don't understand why, and I don't get why it's separated, but oh well. Just like the previous, it's a concept record, full of great moments, great synthesizers, just as usual. It's a concept album, like I said before, and it revolves around the concept of being able to view the dreams of others. Another album about dreams. According to Tommy Rogers, what if dreams could be broadcast for the purpose of entertainment? Could you consume the innermost thoughts of another person on screen? If you could, what does that say about an attention-starved audience? More importantly, what would become of the dreamers? Now, I'm not going to say the second quote he said because it will take the video too long, but it's got some really great moments, and I do think it's a step up from the Coma Machine. Like, Condemned to the Gallows is an amazing track. I love the mouse organ. It has some really great experimentations. I love this drum solo they did on the track Yellow Eyes. And Blot is a great closing track for leading up to the second part of the album, which leads up to the next album. So, yeah, guys, I think it's another great Between the Buried and Me record. So, I'll go for a 4 to 5. I would probably say it's one of their most underrated records. So, check it out if you haven't. Next up we got is Automata Part 2, released July 13, 2018 through Sumerian Records. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. As you know, it concludes the Sumerian series. And I kind of take it back for Part 1 being the most underrated. This is a lot more underrated. Probably the most underrated one they did. I mean, I'm not going to explain the lyrics because it will take the video too long. The opening track, the Proverbial Bellow, amazing track, probably one of my favorite Between the Buried and Me songs of all time, and it got this polka interlude called Glide. Okay, voice of Trespass, I love the jazz elements throughout. I thought this was a great track, and we got with the semi-ballad track, The Grid. Okay, we'll talk about the lyrics for just a bit, because it's a 4-track album. According to Tommy Giles, holding our tongues to Automata 2 was challenging. We worked so hard on these songs and finally we get to release the other half of the material to the world. I think this is some of the best materials we ever released. It's a result of everything we've been striving up to the point. I'm not reading the whole thing, but yeah, I thought this was a massive step up, and I think this is one of the best records they have ever done. Like, I just love the progression and instrumentation throughout, and you know what? I'm going to go for a 4.5 to 5. I think this is an amazing record. I mean, as you combine the two albums together, I mean, I would go for a 4.5 to 5 in general. Now, this kind of criticism I have for it is I don't understand why this was split in two parts. I mean, if you put the album together, the album is 68 minutes, and the other albums, some of the other albums are longer than this, which it doesn't make sense. But anyway, I'm not going to go further details about it, but it's kind of dumb, to be honest with you. But anyways, I thought this was an amazing record, and I find it to be Between the Buried and Me's most underrated record. Okay, last up we got is Colors 2, released August 20th, 2021, off of Samara Ryan Records. And as you may know, this is the follow-up to their 2007 album Colors. And holy shit, guys, I think Colors 2 is just as perfect as the first one. Clocking in at 79 minutes, well, almost. This album has a lot of stuff going on, just like the first one. I mean, I don't know how to start with this. And I thought Automata is their most proggy record. Now, this album has a lot, and I mean a lot. I mean, primarily a prog metal / metalcore record. It's got a lot of stuff going on. According to Rogers, it flows like a sequel to Colors, but it wasn't just another version of that album. On the original, I was analyzing myself and analyzing humanity. With Last Year, I was in a perfect position to do that. I wrote lyrics in the same way, but they felt new. It was more like a real-world concept by virtue of making a continuation's music a purpose is to help. There's a big theme of this album. Once our songs are done, they belong to our listeners. Maybe this will help them move forward, creativity, or in life. I mean, just like part one, they added a lot more musical genres, like, again, with polka, country. They even added reggae in the track Revolution and Limbo. Let's talk about the song Fix the Error with the drum solo they did for each section. One from Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater. The other one from the band Animals as Leaders, who was the former drummer. I forgot what is his name. But he was from the drummer Animals as Leaders, and the last drummer is from the band Candaria. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff going on, and it's a very unpredictable album. It's got some cartoon sounds with the track Prehistory. I love this 80 synthesizers on the track The Future is Behind Us. And don't get me started with the growl vocals on the track Revolution and Limbo from Blake Richardson. I'm not going to lie, I thought they secretly added George Fisher from Cannibal Corpse as the growl vocals, because he sounded so much like him. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that it came to the point where I actually thought it was him who did the growl vocals on my first listen on this album, whenever it came out. And the track Prehistory, I would consider it as the most unpredictable track they have made, with a lot of proggy stuff. I kind of compare this to the Dance of Eternity from Dream Theater. I kind of consider it as their Dream of Eternity. It's got a lot of unpredictable moments, like unexpected cartoon sound effects around the interludes and stuff like that, which kind of fits the tone to it, and I actually love it. And then the album closes off with Human as Hell, another one with Love. Perfect way to close the album, just like with part one with White Walls. Absolutely love it. I mean, it's a 15-minute epic track, and it's full of unpredictable moments. Great melodies, amazing hook, and it's got pretty much almost everything they got it in this track. Like, I can't even describe it. So yeah, guys, like I said earlier, this album is just as perfect as the first album. It's definitely a 5 out of 5 for me. I fucking love this record. If I would pick Colors 1 or Colors 2, I would probably pick the first one over it. Colors 2 is probably my second favorite Between the Buried and Me album, behind Colors. Yeah, this album is just flat out amazing, and I'm definitely looking to see what they got on their next album, The Nowhere Blue. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking for their next record. It's probably my most anticipated album of 2025 by far. Alright guys, so that is my ranking every Between the Buried and Me albums. What are your thoughts on every album of Between the Buried and Me? Let me know in the comments. So, now, at first I wasn't sure what I'm going to rank which band I'm going to rank every album next, but I'm going to do Mastodon next because, as you may know, what happened recently, Brent Hinds died from a motorcycle accident. As you may know, earlier this year he left the band and he was in really bad terms with Mastodon, and it really ended up badly with him, especially with the most unpredictable moment that he died from a motorcycle crash, which is very sad news. But anyways guys, that's pretty much the video. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for me for more content and all that bullshit. Thanks for watching. Check those videos out, whatever that's popping up on the screen, and I'll see you guys next time. So I'll see y'all later.